On this episode, of course, it's going to be about Roy Moore. I mean, this podcast is Trend Chat. I talk about the trends that are going on at this time. So I would be remiss to not talk about this. So it'll be that and probably a little bit about movies as well. All that and more on this episode of Trend Chat. Welcome everybody to another episode of Trend Chat. I'm your host, Brian Bledsoe. And if you want to connect with us, whether on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, it's all the same name, Trend Chat 24/7. And if you want to read some of my articles on Politics, just go to politics.com/author/Brian Bledsoe. Also, we're on nationonenews.org. If you want to listen to some episodes of Trend Chat, we're on nationonenews.org. So, thanks to them for putting us on and for, having our episodes on their website. Really appreciate that. So, you know what? I almost forgot. It is Christmas time, and definitely would like for all of y'all to get the new book by Politics called Politics, A Clearing Call to Political Activism, which contains 300 pages of different articles from contributors like myself talking about different issues like social issues, general political issues, activism, which that is where my article that I contributed to the book, talking about being a delegate at the National Convention last year. So get about 5 of them and give them out as gifts for the holidays, Christmas in particular. So, like I mentioned, I'm going to talk about Roy Moore and this, Senate race in Alabama. But actually, before I get into that, I want to kind of talk a little bit about a movie I saw last week. I mean, I'm not going to give away the ending or give any spoilers. But the Thor movie is still number one, and I saw that as well, and it is pretty good. It's pretty funny. I will give it, I guess, a 3.75 out of 5 stars, if there is were such a chart for it, but that's how I will see it. But I also saw another movie called Murder on the Orient Express, which is based off a book, and I think it's been remade a couple times on film. But they, obviously they remade it recently, and it came out last week, and I liked it. I liked the movie. I'll probably give it about a 3.5, I guess, out of 5. And I really enjoyed it. Kenneth Branagh is the lead, and he also directed, which if you've seen any of his movies, he tends to star in his own movies that he directs, and from time to time. And I really like him as an actor, but like I said, I did like the movie. This is not a spoiler, I'm just letting you know, but the one thing I just didn't like about it is the rationale to the conclusion. That's the best way I can put it without spoiling anything for people who are going to see it. But for me personally, the rationale of how they got to the conclusion for how everything came about at the end, it's just something that really it annoyed me a little bit, and I didn't really care for it. And I guess I don't need to say any more without giving away something. But I thought it was pretty good. I would say if you want to go out, I mean, obviously the Justice League movie is out this week on Friday, and actually I just saw it I just came from watching it and came here to do the podcast, and Justice League was pretty good. I've really enjoyed it. I thought I'm guessing it's gonna be number one. I'm guessing. It was pretty good. I mean, if you don't know, it's a DC comic book movie. So you got Batman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, Aquaman, Cyborg, all of them coming together, and so yeah, like I said, it's pretty good. It was a little more lighthearted than all the other previous DC movies that's been kind of really serious, kind of taking itself like really. I guess in some cases, some people say they take it too serious, but it's a little more lighthearted, a couple of laughs in there. But altogether, I think you enjoy it. I guess if I were putting this on a scale, I would probably give it I guess another 3.75. Maybe a 4. Nah, I said 3.75. I'd probably keep it there out of 5. I mean, I'm just telling you, it's not like this holds so much weight, but they're just how I see it if I was rating the movie. So I wanted to talk about that first, because I know once I get into all this about Roy Moore, I'll probably go over the time. Then I wouldn't have any time at the end to mention this. So I said, let me go talk about this first before I get into this. So before I get into everything about Roy Moore and what I think and all that, let's hear from our friends with the Founding Project.
Hello, Trend Chat listeners. If you like the Founding Project's Civics Education video series, Civics for All Ages, and our educational meme series, we think you will love our new website. Join us at thefoundingproject.com and be a part of the civics movement. The Founding Project is a 501c3 education nonprofit. Please join us today.
So, if you don't know, again, this is your host, Brian Bledsoe, and I was born and raised in Alabama. Now, I currently live in Texas now, but, most of my childhood was in Alabama. I didn't move out to Texas until 2002 when I joined the Army, and my first duty station was at Fort Hood. So that's what pushed me to Texas in the first place. I just mentioned that because all eyes on Alabama right now because of what's going on with Judge Roy Moore and the allegations that have been out against him in the past couple of weeks. I guess been about a week or so. But actually, I was just in Alabama yesterday as well, and I was at my parents' house, and it's all over the news. I mean, obviously, if it's the first thing that shows up on the national news, obviously on Alabama news, it's going to be the main focus as well. But for one, I think a lot of this kind of started last week, and I didn't mention anything about it. If you know anything about this podcast and from previous episodes, I said time and time again, for me, I'm not one of these like knee-jerk reaction type as far as having to make sure I put something out, or make sure I give my opinion, first or whatever. That's not me, and because of that fact, that's probably maybe that would keep me from being whatever. Maybe that would be a reason why I wouldn't, I guess, get some big contract to do this podcast or anything like that, because you got to be on top of, you got to have have an opinion on it now, even though we're talking about accusations and we're talking about, that's all we're talking about someone's word, and we have no investigation or anything like that. And so for me, I was like, well, okay, let's see where this goes. But like I mentioned in the beginning, this is a hot topic, and I'll be negligent in my duty to not talk about it because this is Trend Chat. So first off, before I go into any of this, I will say I don't think Roy Moore should leave the race at this time with what is currently known publicly, at least. I don't think he should get up. On the same hand, we've got news today about Al Franken. And, there was an accusation as far as him kissing and groping Leanne Tweeden, who is a TV personality who's, I think now is working in LA at a radio station. And she came out and talked about her experience. Now, with that accusation, but then there's also a picture of him groping her while she's asleep. I mean, it's a really creepy picture. And that came out today. And today Senator Franken, he apologized and everything. And so I'm saying that because I think that Roy Moore shouldn't leave the race. I also don't think Senator Franken should be called to resign. He shouldn't leave based off of this one instance. This one incident has happened, and you already have people, especially given the fact that he's a Democrat. So, the things that have been going on with Roy Moore, people want to flip the script and say, well, you want Roy Moore to drop out the Senate race, so Al Franken should resign because of this. Well, no, I don't think Roy Moore should leave, and I also don't think Senator Franken should resign. I think he should apologize, which he's already done, and then go on from there. I mean, for one, we're talking about one instance that happened, this incident that happened here, and he should apologize. And given if we don't have any more situations like this going on that come out the next week or whatever, he should be able to, like I said, he's already done his apology. So I think he should just okay, accept that, acknowledge what you did is wrong. Okay. And when it's come time for his re-election, didn't even look up when his term is up, when he's up for re-election. But, at that time, the voters of Minnesota, then they decide if they want to bring him back, given if he actually wants to run for re-election. So, anyway, that's the reason why I'm bringing up Al Franken, because, he's a Democrat. Most people would want to, like I said before, want to just all of a sudden ask for his resignation just because of how Roy Moore is being treated now. And I'm just saying I want to be honest on both ends. So I don't think either one should be forced to leave out based on accusations, especially for Roy Moore, but even with like I said, with this one incident with Al Franken. Now, it's this has also kind of become a very polarizing topic. It's either you believe it all or not at all. There's not a lot of middle ground. Seems like either you believe everything that people that that the accusers have said about Roy Moore, or you don't believe none of it. I mean, either all the claims are true, or this is all some well-coordinated attack, from people who have, deep pockets from both sides. Basically on someone that they didn't want in the race in the first place. So you have liberals that, definitely don't like him because of the other things, because as being a judge and kind of with the Ten Commandments and being a very, I guess you say, a strong advocate towards religious liberty and whatnot. So he was already a target to them, and also a target to the establishment of the Republican Party as well, just because they probably just see him as, he's just too extreme or whatever, for their moderate selves. So, you, like I said, you have a lot of, if you want to make this seem like it's a coordinated attack, both should be taken seriously. Obviously, the claims from the accusers about Roy Moore, they are taken seriously. But if you want to see this as some sort of well-coordinated attack, as I mentioned, that should be taken seriously as well. I mean, you shouldn't scoff at the fact that you have news organizations and also other people. Like I said, a lot of these people have deep pockets that are willing to get him out of the way. That's pretty possible as well. But if I mean, like, a lot of people are saying that he should step out of the race, and like I mentioned, I don't think he should. And if Roy Moore thinks he's innocent, I mean, why would he get out the race? I mean, because for him to step out to spend his campaign or whatever, that basically essentially admits guilt, and also accept that. Accept the premise that accusations are fact. So, if someone made an accusation, he can't dispute it. He's basically just, okay, an accusation has been made. It is believed without any investigation or whatever, and so you must, leave whatever. Whether it's a Senate race or anything, or your job or whatever, you just don't have a chance to defend yourself. You're basically guilty until proven innocent, and that is a horrible precedent you want to set. Unfortunately, we're already at that point. This happens a lot more than in a lot of different areas, but that is the environment we are creating right now. It's already created. And I'm just thinking, especially as conservatives, the one thing that definitely has stuck out to me in this whole deal, this story was broke by the Washington Post, and as conservatives, we have been, and I say rightfully so, skeptical of the media for the most part, for the most of the media. And it just seems like, for some reason, that skepticism of the media just totally went away. Just because, I guess it kind of goes back to people just didn't want Roy Moore in this race, and so now that a negative story had come out about him, they're willing to forego whatever skepticism they have of the media. Like, oh yeah, it's totally legit. We're not going to question this at all, even though from other stories we suppose either say, oh, right, that's fake news, or or it's the biased mainstream media. Like, you're not really hearing much of that from the same people that tend to want to always make that claim, just because I feel like they just want to believe the Washington Post story or believe the accusers, just because they don't like Roy Moore. And And I'm just thinking about as far as how we're talking about this environment. If we're just going to take accusations and just leave it at that, everyone is believed without any investigation, and whoever is accused should to just instantly just go away from whatever it is. If we're going to continue to go down this path, what's going to stop people in the future from doing the same? If they realize, whoever, whether it's politics, entertainment, whatever, if people get the notion and think and realize that I can just make an accusation and ruin someone's life, what will stop them from doing that if they know that's the precedent that we're setting as far as when it comes to accusation towards anybody? It doesn't even have to be a famous person, really. This can happen at your job. Someone can just accuse you of, let's just say, sexual harassment. Just make the accusation and you're fired. So I don't think people are really understanding the path we're going down until it happens to them. Then they'll realize, but it'll be too late. You didn't stand up for the other person that had an accusation, that wanted to have an investigation and wanted time to for them to defend themselves. Now, if it turned around and happened to you, don't be surprised if you don't get the same treatment as well. It can, as much as it happens to them, it can very well happen to you. But and for Republicans in general, this is a real bad situation to start. No, this is something you don't really want to. You don't want to create something like this, some sort of, I guess, precedent where this can happen, because it's pretty obvious if we go down this path, and Republicans are a lot more susceptible for this tactic to work, because you have a media who has shown, how many examples we have out there that they're much more willing to cover a Republican scandal over anything liberal or, any Democrat scandal. If there are two scandals at the same time, one's a Republican, one's a Democrat, I'm 99% sure if you had both of them happen at the exact same time, the Republican will get more coverage, even if it's the exact same thing that happens, because you have a media that leans to the left, and so they'll focus on something that would negatively affect the right. But there's two people I bet that are not too happy and just wish this would have happened just a little bit sooner. I could just imagine Harvey Weinstein and Kevin Spacey are probably sitting back like, why didn't this story happen like 2 weeks ago? Because if this whole Roy Moore story happened 2 weeks ago, that news about Harvey Weinstein and Kevin Spacey would have got swept right under the rug. Everybody been focused right on Alabama. Everybody be in Montgomery and Birmingham. All the story would be all about Roy Moore, and it would be like a little footnote about Harvey Weinstein and Kevin Spacey. So I bet you Kevin Spacey and Harvey Weinstein are just fuming right now. Like, why they're probably mad at the Washington Post. Like, why didn't you break this story like 2 weeks ago? And Kevin Spacey probably like, I could still be on House of Cards right now. But yeah. But if we are gonna go down, like, with this, I guess, this new precedent where you can basically lose your job or have your life ruined by any sort of accusation. If that's the case, I think guys would be a lot better off to probably model Vice President Mike Pence take his approach. Take his approach with how because Mike Pence has a policy that he doesn't meet with women alone. And I forget the other things, but basically he is very protective as far as not being alone with another woman. Now, whether you think that's going too far, well, that's really irrelevant right now, because he's better safe than sorry. So you might want to think about, taking the Mike Pence route. If we're going to have this environment of people just, people can just make accusations, because they can say, well, you were alone with her, and it's he said, she say. And a lot of times the he said is losing. So, I mean, it's basically, it's like, you got the liberals who already, like I said, didn't want Roy Moore anyway. Then you also have these other Republicans who are, that were backing Luther Strange, who lost in the primary to Roy Moore. And so I just feel like they're kind of using this to kind of just pile on. And like the liberals are just sitting back saying, with this whole accusation, they're like, well, look at him now. Now he's worse than what we feared. And then you have these establishment Republicans coming out and saying, like, well, see, this is why we didn't want him as a nominee. So, and, the people on both sides that are kind of basically screaming that right now, I would say you need to, spare me your outrage, really. Because if this would have happened to any one of them, they'd be right there in front of a camera just begging for grace. Like, give us time. I didn't do this. These are just accusations. We need time to investigate. These same people who are out there want to just excoriate on Roy Moore about these accusations and saying like he need to drop out of the race, and just being all indignant and just feigning outrage right now. You can just save it, because you would not be that way if it happened to you. You want to have some time to investigate because you want to save your job, you want to save face or whatever. But like I said, because you don't like him, you want to all of a sudden just want to get your panties in a wad or whatever, and just clench your fist and say, get this guy out of here. So like I said, just save it, spare your outrage and whatever. I can really care less, because I know exactly if this happened to you, you would definitely want, some time. You would want some investigation. But for me, I would say it's kind of like for me, I kind of see this as kind of a half-truth, personally. Like, this is just me. This is just my opinion. Obviously, this is, you're here, you're listening. But I'm just saying.
Warning.
This is the opinion.
Warning.
This is just an opinion. This is just me talking off the top of my head. So just letting you know. For me, I just see this as kind of like a half-truth type of way. And I'll put it like this. In the past, I feel like Roy Moore might have had some, I guess he might have talked to some teenage girls. Might have flirted a little bit or whatever. Maybe just said hello or whatever like that. And they've, whoever, I guess, basically started this story kind of grasped on that one little part and then blowed it to epic proportions. And the reason why, there was a number of reasons why I kind of see it that way. Now, like I said, as time go by next week, it could be none of this is true or all of it is true. But I'm just saying, as of right now, this is how I see it. One reason that I'm seeing it that way, because the timing is just too perfect. I mean, we're talking about years, decades have passed, and this story drops one month, a couple of weeks before an election for this man to become, to have a chance to become a U.S. senator. It happens right now. Like, that's really convenient timing for someone that don't want him to win. It's just really too convenient. It really is. And that's what that sparks, a question as far as all of this that is going on. And now as far as the timing of it, and also another thing, like I said, we're talking about decades of time that has passed. And a lot can happen to someone in 30 to 40 years, for better or worse. I mean, he got married in 85, and to a woman that was 14 years younger than he was, which kind of goes back to, I guess, if you want to believe, as far as him talking to teenage girls. Well, I mean, he married someone who was 14 years younger. So, and that was in 85, and they're still married now. So it's a lot of, like I said, it's just a lot of time has passed. And like I said, the timing of it just really, it makes me real skeptical of it. And also, the literal red flag of it all is Gloria Allred. Now, she just got involved in this like the past couple of days, but that is a literal red flag. Is Gloria Allred being involved in this? I mean, because if you don't know, I mean, this is the woman who took the Boy Scouts to court in the 90s for discrimination, quote unquote discrimination, for not allowing girls in the Boy Scouts. And she did this in the 90s. Well, I mean, she got a wish now, recently, but she was doing that to the Boy Scouts back then. And she has no problem trying to in any way she can to make the Republican look bad. Like, anything that could put a Republican in a negative light, she is all for it. I mean, like I said, she's a longtime Democrat. She loves to attack Republicans, and basically having her face show up, having her in this, this whole situation, in my mind, honestly, has discredited whoever the accusers are. Now, she's just representing one, but it's still, having her involved in all this is just really, it's really making me like, okay, I'm really am skeptical of this whole deal. I kind of feel like someone should have just told her, no, don't get in this, because you're just gonna bring too much attention, and it's gonna really look bad. So, but who knows? Maybe, yeah. I mean, who knows right now? I mean, just, if all this is true, it basically would be a case of your past coming back to bite you. If all this is true. And I guess in the weeks coming up, we're gonna get more and more details that are going to come out about this. I know one thing: if World War have some evidence that would, I guess, that would show that someone is, either lying or maybe not being truthful in their accounts of what they perceived would happen, I will say whatever they have, they need to hurry up and produce that. Because as time go by, the longer this keep going out, the more anyone should think, well, maybe this is true, because you're not really bringing up anything to prove otherwise. But also it's kind of hard to do when you just basically going off of he said, she said. I know we got this whole thing with the yearbook that he wrote in one of the accusers' yearbook. But I mean, okay, he wrote in the yearbook. It's not like what was in the yearbook didn't say anything really incriminating. So even now, I know they're disputing as far as even if that's even his handwriting. But even if it is, that's really not enough. It shouldn't be enough, really. But like I said, if they got some evidence to prove otherwise, to saying that he was not what they're accusing him to be, they need to produce a lot of it. Even though, but Moore is still leading in the polls. I mean, but I'm guessing the Democrat is probably catching up because of this. But he is still leading, so who knows? He might actually still win. But that's up to the voters in Alabama. I am not a voter there anymore, but yep, like I said, it's up to the voters. Coming up, I think it's December. It's in December. Let me not, because I can't remember the date, but it's up to them and to see if they believe what they're hearing, and either change their vote or not vote for Moore or vote for the Democrat. I guess we'll find out in a couple of weeks. Oh, all right. That was a lot, actually. But I guess, like I said, I just wanted to get that out and give my 2 cents for what it's worth, and I'm guessing it is worth about 2 cents. So let's hear another word from our friends with the Founding Project.
Hello, Trend Chat fans. The Founding Project invites you to experience our latest resource to take civics to citizens, TFP's new website. Visit us at www.thefoundingproject.com. Be a part of the civics movement with the Founding Project. The Founding Project is a 501c3 education nonprofit. Join us today.
Yep, and I appreciate everyone who has been listening. I appreciate you listening to this episode and previous episode. And also want to ask, whoever's listening to, I guess, help me out in an idea. And I'm thinking about adding the intro and I guess the ending to this podcast. But I really don't know what words I'll put in for just about, 15 seconds. And I was just wondering, how would I introduce this podcast? So, if you're listening, if you got any ideas, I guess send a message to whether Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Just send a message or a tweet or whatnot to either one of those. So Facebook, Instagram, Twitter is all the same at TrendChat 24/7. So if you're hearing this and got an idea, I guess shoot it to me. I guess who knows? I might put it in and have someone to do an intro. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that. Just kind of brainstorming, I guess. Like I said, appreciate everyone listening. We're on Google Play, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio. And also, once again, we're on nationonenews.org. And that's, you can listen to Trend Chat. So if you click on the menu button on the home page, it'll come down and you'll see Trend Chat, and you can go there and you can listen to all the episodes. This is episode, what is episode 68, 67? I can't remember. But yeah, so you can listen to all of them. So that's it for us this week, and actually don't know what I'll be doing next week, actually. Who knows? I mean, this whole saga with Roy Moore, who knows? We'll probably be talking about this again. Might be by this time next week, we could be talking about all of it being totally 100% true, or we could be talking about it totally being false. Who knows? But we'll find out, and I guess we'll talk about it then, one way or another, or maybe talk about something totally different. So who knows? And again, thanks for listening, and until next time, we'll chat with you later.